Okay, so let's move on to the brushes. Here I have the Sumi E brushes. These are Eastern type of calligraphy brushes, but a lot of people tend to use these nowadays. So before preparing your brushes, you will see they're usually coated with a gum arabic solution, so they're hard to keep the point. Do not break that point without having it in water, because you will damage your hairs. So these brushes are natural fibers. Yeah, you can see they're a bit more roughly, they're easy damageable because it's natural hair. This is made of hog hair. I hope it focuses. Yeah, so these are also very soft, very bendable. You will struggle to have a nice straight line, but it's very good for Eastern style painting as well as softer lines. Then you get your normal round brushes. These are the silver black velvet brushes. They are a mix of squirrel and synthetic hair. So this is a number 4, number 6 and a number 8. So let me just put it in organized order for you so you can see the different sizes. So with these type of round brushes you can get softer washes as well as little fine lines with the tips. The silver black velvet is quite expensive brushes, but they are very good brushes. I had to import these from Jackson's in England, but Art Savings Club do have a few varieties now. Then you get bigger rounds. This is a Da Vinci Casaneo brush. I absolutely love these. They're also synthetic, so you have a bit more control. They're not this is quite soft still, but not as soft as your natural hair fibers, and I just prefer these because you have more control. You also get quill brushes. They look like these are squirrel hairs. They're very soft. You will not really get a fine point with these. They're for washes and cleaning, not really scrubbing, but just like smoothing out some details. You also get rigger brushes like these. They look very fluffy right now, but when you wet them they become a thin little line like this. They name it rigger because you do fine lines and so forth. What you also get are flat brushes like this. They are good for straight washes and lines. You get little tiny micro brushes like these for small details. They are very, very small. And then I do not have watercolor brushes in this size. This is a normal acrylic. You can use it for watercolor. I use it for my gouache paints and my acrylics. This is a filbert. And then you also get dagger brushes, but I don't use those. Other essentials that you might need is a nice soft HB or 2B pencil. As long as you know that when you press onto your cotton paper or your watercolor paper, any grooves you make, like pressing hard or using a harder pencil, you will make permanent marks. So the water and pigment will pull into those marks. You can use a variety of erasers. This is a very soft eraser, so it does not damage the surface of the paper. This is a harder one if you really need to take out some lines. but be careful not to damage your paper, because there's a coating within your paper to help the watercolor spread and sit on a very good way, and it can damage those layers. What a lot of people use are these soft putty erasers. So they're very squishy and soft like this, and you just lighten your pencil marks, because what happens if you put water over graphite or any colored pencil on your page, it will seal your drawings onto the page when you put water over it. So you want it as light as possible before you start. I did not bring it now because that's not my style, but you do get Pigma's ink. It's archival waterproof pens. A lot of people sketch with these and then work over it with watercolor, or do their watercolors and then just use it. Because watercolor is tricky and you need to use the white of the page to give you white, because you don't use white as a mixing area. A lot of us use these gel pens or type of white ink to bring back small lines. This Signo Uniball white pen is my absolute favorite. It's very opaque and pigmented. The jelly rolls work well as well, just jelly rolls tend to become very dry easily or sticky and tacky when not used regularly. A lot of people use mist sprayers to re-wet the palettes beforehand. I tend to drop little bits of water with a little old syringe I have. It was never used for anything else than water. Safety first. Then you also get travel brushes. This is a little one I got in a palette. I have other travel palette brushes as well, but they're currently packed in for my trip. So basically it just has a handle with the brush side within it, and then you have a little brush. Some of them are made of metal, and so this is also a synthetic brush. I do have a sable one that I got with my Rembrandt palette, but I tend not to use it because I try not to use natural fibers, because they do use the payoff of fur industry hairs. So most of these animals were killed to make natural hair fibers like this one. And a lot of people try to go vegan now with their papers and brushes and paints, but you can read up on that. That's quite a lot of information that you can use. So this is just an overview of brushes. I hope I did give you some insight into the possibilities you have. If you're starting out, the best would be to get yourself a round brush, a 6 or an 8. An 8 is versatile because it's big enough to do some larger washes, but you still have a sharp point to do fine lines. So a number 8 would be your best bet to start with. Just check, manufacturers do have different sizes for the numbers. For instance, this is a number 20, and this is how large it is. Okay, so there's an airplane going along, and my cat is also trying to get onto the table. But so just check when you see brushes what is the different sizes. But your normal Prime Art Bianco so your normal Prime Art Bianco brushes, the round, this is number 12, will also work. It just does not have as sharp as a point as real watercolor brushes, so you will most likely need a smaller brush, especially if you want to do small detail. But this is a perfect brush, and they're not that expensive to start with. and I tend to use this for gouache and acrylic as well. They have a better hold on water and help you out a lot. Yes, on to the next section then.